Today, my topic is lenses and focal length. What lenses and focal length plays an important role in photography. What is the procedure of lenses to use lenses and focal length in camera or in photography? Most good pictures are good for one of two reasons. They are of something that nobody has ever seen before. Bigfoot, Moby Dick, or Moby Dick, or they show the subject in a way that no one has seen before. That's what we are most likely to photograph everyday scenes that are shot so well and unusually. They become interesting. Camera lenses are the tools we need to get this job done. In this lecture, we will look at several lenses and learn what they can do. Field shoot raptor recovery Nebraska. Let's begin with the field shoot of a great horned owl. We will start with a telephoto lens and work our way to a wide angle. A telephoto lens reduces the world to a pinpoint. It's what most wildlife and sports photographers use because they often can't walk right up to their subjects. This advantage of a telephoto lens is that it does not allow you to see much of your surroundings. The ad- the disadvantage of a telephoto lens is that it does not allow you to see much of your surroundings. The advantage is that the subject fills the frame and makes the background a nice blur of soft color. Most people think they have to stay back from the subject with a telephoto lens, but you can actually move in close. You can even do portraits using a telephoto. A normal lens sees much as the eyes sees. It's often difficult to get a good picture using a normal lens, because everyone sees in basically the same way. With this lens, the subject must be extraordinary. You can also work the angles to see if you can get a good shot. A point and shoot camera will work fine in a visually loaded situations, such as having a cooperative owl on a perch. The type of camera is not always important. Photography is about being close to something and seeing it well. With a wide angle lens, you can also get close. With these lenses, the subject becomes very important, while the rest of the world fades away. Next is camera lenses. Lenses are distinguished by focal length. The greater the number, the longer the lens. When your subject is far away and you want to bring closer, closer in the frame, use a longer lens with a long focal length. With a long focal length lens, you are reaching out and grabbing a single point in the landscape. With a shorter focal length, you are showing much more of the world, a wider view. Camera lenses come in fixed and zoom focal lengths. The more expensive lenses, zoom lenses, are labeled by the range of focal lengths they can effectively photograph. Fixed length lenses do not zoom, they are built to capture only one width. A 70 to 200 lens can be used to reach out and touch something that's far away, or it can be used close up to something to blur out a distracting background, fill the frame with the subject, or zoom in on an interesting detail. An 80 to 200 lens is a manageable weight and a good compromise between big expensive lenses and a normal lens. At the other hand of the spectrum is a 14 to 24 lens is a wide angle lens. It's also a zoom lens as opposed to a fixed one. Called a rectilinear lens does not bend or stretch things terribly. This focal length is great for landscapes or tight scenes where you want to show everything and can't back up. Wide lenses are good for use in interiors and exteriors of wide or big things. They are also good for giving context in pictures because they show a good bit of backgrounds. It is hard to show an entire mountain range with a telephoto lens, but you can show it within a wide lens if you are standing in the right spot. Wide angle lenses generally have a focal length up to about 28 mm. You can use these lenses to accentuate the distance between objects. They are also useful in tight quarters. Next is behind the lens. A normal lens is how we see, and I really prefer that. I use a normal lens most of the time anymore when on assignment for National Geographic. Can you imagine that I am traveling around the world and I am shooting a 50 mm lens? Good grief. If you can pull off a good picture with a normal lens, it means you have really done something. Here I am talking about a photographer who who has shooted for National Geographic Channel. You are really seeing something well. If you can take a really interesting picture with a normal lens, it means you have either witnessed something amazing or you are taking something ordinary and making it amazing. It means you are not relying on those super wide or telephoto lenses as a crutch to get you there to an interesting picture. Alright, next is try to avoid putting people on one side or the other of a wide angle picture. That is along the edges with a really wide angle lens, say 24 mm or wider. It's generally best to center the subject. So the lens does not distort all or part of it. If you can't do that, you can back up. You can get by with a wide angle lens and no normal lens, but that situation is not optimal. It's important to that you do not use a wide angle lens as a substitute for good scene. So-called normal lenses are 35 to 50 mm. These lenses produce images that look natural to human observers because we see at about the focal length. They are often used for portraits because they don't cause the distortion that very wide lenses do. Normal lenses allow you to shoot in a straightforward way without gimmicks. With a wide angle lens, the success of a shot may be attributed more to the lens than the photographer. But if you can pull off a good picture with a normal lens, you have seen something well. Most of us see the world around us with a built-in 50 mm lens in the brain. It is it's an accomplishment to be able to see differently when you have the same focal length eyes as everyone else on the planet. A 24 to 70 mm lens is a good workhorse lens. This lens sees as much as the human eye, plus a little more. It's the lens you will likely use 99% of the time. Zoom lenses can take pictures in a certain range of focal length, which means essentially that there are many lenses packed inside the zoom. In contrast, prime lenses have fixed focal lengths. The advantage of prime lenses is that they cost less and allow you to use a larger aperture. If you are using prime lenses, however, you will need to buy more lenses to cover as much ground as a single zoom lens. Alright, the next is the other advantage of prime lenses is that they force you to think through the things more thoroughly and to be more creative. They make you get on your feet and back up. In fact, your feet are the best zoom you have. Walking up to the subject and backing away can help you find the best view. Next is special purpose lenses. A macro lens acts as a telephoto lens for the close-ups of tiny subjects. Most macros have a very limited depth of field, which means that very little in the image will be in focus. It's important to use a tripod or a monopod when shooting with a macro or telephoto lens, otherwise, just exhaling can move the frame. Big glass is a photo slang for long lenses, 300 mm, 400 mm, or 600 mm too. The front element of these lenses is very large because they are designed to gather light at low levels. These lenses are very sharp, but they are also expensive. However, if you often photograph subjects that are hard to get close to, such as wildlife, these tools are must. Next is before you buy. The minimum focus distance is the smallest distance between an object and a lens, where the focus is still sharp. Pay attention to the minimum focus distance when object and a lens where the focus is still sharp. Pay attention to the minimum focus distance when purchasing a lens or a camera with a built-in lens. Think about the subjects you like to shoot, such as wildlife close ups or portraits, and consider the distance you want to be from these subjects. With lenses, you get what you pay for. Don't buy a telephoto lens if the best aperture is an f8 or an f11. You would have to shoot in very bright light if the opening is that small. A larger opening in the lens is needed to make pictures in soft light, such as an f4 and an f2.8. With the right lens choices, you will find a lifetime of shots right in your own town. Everything from the local marching band to the state fair. If you are truly curious about the world around you, you will never run out of the subjects to shoot. That's all for the day. Thank you so much.